This is Support is Sexy, episode 488, with Mansi Singhal, co-founder of wealth management firm qplum. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elaine Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I bring you inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and lessons to help you take your business to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm happy to have you here because it just would not be the same without you. And I am super excited to talk to our guest today, Mansi Singhal. And Mansi is the co-founder of a wealth management firm called qplum. Not only is she one of few women with a wealth management firm, and they have $55 million under management, but she also built a company that is AI driven. In fact, they say AI driven with human support. So for those of you who don't know, AI is artificial intelligence. Now, we've talked about technology and certainly talked to great women who have these fascinating technology companies on the podcast, but I don't think we really had a chance to dive into AI, what that means, how it works, what is it all about, and spoken to someone who created a company that sort of centers, again, on AI driven, in this case, investing, but with a combination of human support and the importance of that. So Mansi and I talk about that, what you need to know too, as an entrepreneur thinking about AI, even if it's not in your business, you need to know about it because industries are changing. It's going to affect all industries, I believe. We talk about that, and Mansi talks about what not to be afraid of related to AI. She also goes into why soft skills still matter, what women need to know about being financially independent, whether you're single or married. And we also dive into making brave decisions. And Mansi talks about her journey of making brave decisions after going to University of Penn. And unlike her fellow students, deciding not to go after what were the hot new companies at that time, think Google and Amazon, this was around 2004, and going in a different direction. So she did that when certainly her classmates and her family thought she was a little bit crazy because she wasn't going where all the quote unquote big money was. Mansi, on the other hand, wanted to be a trader, and she wanted to apply what she learned to this industry. So she talks about the importance of making brave decisions, how she did it. And you know, if you like some help making brave decisions, you can download my free audio course at makebravedecisions.com, because making brave decisions is certainly a part of life and a part of business. So that's makebravedecisions.com. Some things you want to think about. We go through some exercises to help you make the best decisions in your life and your business. All right. So now, without further ado, Mansi Singhal. So Mansi, thank you so much for joining us for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Same here, Elaine. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So our first question, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
I actually didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I never realized that I had so many entrepreneurs in my family until much later. So my dad has always had his own practice. He's a doctor. And my mom started her first job at the age of 55 after we went to study. So both my sister and I, when we left home for college, that was when she started her work. And I just never thought of entrepreneurship as a career choice. I started thinking about it back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And it has taken me a long time to fall in love with it. Now I love it. As of today, I do. But it took a while. It definitely took a while.
Now, where did you and your sister grow up?
So both of us grew up back in India.
Mm-hmm.
And we came, my sister is 10 years older to me. So she's like my second mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a doctor. And both of us came here for higher education at different times. I came to UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, for Master's in Computer Science. And that's where I met Gaurav, who's the co-founder of qplum. And we have had a lot of, we took a lot of courses in Wharton School in the statistics department. And that was kind of my first exposure to financial services, to use of computer science methods in financial services because I was an engineer. So I didn't even know that you could apply what you learn in computer science to the Wall Street.
Was that something that you did in school, applying your engineering background to Wall Street or the stock market and that kind of thing? Or was this something that you discovered sort of in your own studies?
It was all because of University of Pennsylvania. I would say the majority of the credit goes to Dr. Michael Steele, who was our professor at the statistics department at Wharton School. He taught these courses that discussed application of machine learning methods, Financial Time series. And I'm talking pre-iPhone, pre-cloud, a lot of technological advances that have happened recently. So at that time, AI was not a buzzword. Machine learning was still a very difficult concept to implement. There was a lot of theory around it, but there were very few practical applications. And he gave us so many projects, allowed us to kind of explore systematically how can you apply these methods that you learn in computer science, algos and AI and machine learning to financial markets directly. So credit goes to him for introducing that and changing the course of my career forever.
Wow. What year was that around? Early 2000?
Yeah, it was 2004, 2005.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying seems like a lifetime ago, but
seems like a lifetime now. Time, especially the how fast things change now. A year ago, a phone is like so outdated now. It came out last summer. Yeah. So for you, then you mentioned that sort of changed your career path. Did you start thinking differently? Well, had you always been thinking, I should say, about going into the financial industry, or were you thinking more straight engineering? But once you saw this combination, it shifted.
So everybody in my school at UPenn wanted to go to either Google or Amazon. You know, those were the hot companies.
The big ones, yeah.
Google was actually like so new.
Oh, right.
So excited about it. I'm talking 2004, remember? So
that's right.
Yeah, everybody in my class was like, that was kind of the company everybody wanted to go to. And for both Gaurav and me, we were the complete opposite. We actually sat out of all the placements because I knew from the bottom of my heart that if I get into any of these tech jobs, I will not have the courage to make a career switch. Because, you know, once you have a good job offer in hand, pays a nice package, you're getting few $100,000, they have very good, compensation and healthcare and things like that. It's very tempting to just take it and not follow what you really wanted to. And I knew that was the time when I could take a risk. I'm young, I can make a bad choice and always try to, learn more and then go back if I needed to. So both Gaurav and I actually sat out of placements. I probably took more than 100 interviews in financial services because I was like, this is the time. I have to try. I have to get into the right role from the beginning. I have to be a trader. It was a little bit of a Hollywood thing as well. You know how they show you in movies and you get enamored by the whole, trading floor, trading sounds so cool.
Right.
I wish I knew everything that I know now. But back then you're talking to a 20-year-old and, I wanted to be a trader and that's what I went for. And I started my first job at Wachovia Bank.
At Wachovia Bank. Now, was it scary for you at all? Maybe not because you had your friend and now your co-founder with you, but I'm wondering if it was scary for you at all to sit out the possibility of the big job or the big opportunity. And I ask that because even though we're talking about obviously when you were in college and many years ago, still I think women today face this in different ways where there's the bright shiny apple, I call it, or the bright opportunity that you feel like would be a great thing, but in your heart or even in just with your goals, you have something else in mind. And it's scary not to make that shiny apple choice.
Yeah, I mean, my parents thought I've gone crazy.
Right. I was going to ask that.
Yeah, my sister thought I'm out of my mind, that I'm going to one of these top Ivy League schools and I'm sitting out of the placements that they are coming for. And these big companies are coming to the engineering school to hire computer engineers. And I'm doing courses in AI and machine learning and not sitting through all these, career services center. They had these interviews lined up and I'm not doing any of that. And instead I'm running after these banks and I want to be a trader. She was like, I've never heard, like, what is a trader? What do they do? Are you trying to be a stockbroker? And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be a broker. And it was very scary, especially because there was no validation, especially because there was no proof that this works or this will work.
Right. So, but at that time you weren't thinking about opening your own business, you still were just thinking about getting into the financial industry, or did you both have something in mind at that point?
Not at all. I totally go with the 10,000 hour thesis that has become very popular recently. You have to learn the trade. You have to master it before you decide that you can bend the rules, break the existing rules, or change the system. So at that time, I would say even stepping out of my comfort zone from computer science and saying I want to be a trader and be in financial services, that was a big enough leap for me that I couldn't even imagine thinking of entrepreneurship. And especially given my family's background, I would have never thought of entrepreneurship as a career choice back then.
So now you worked you started at Wachovia Bank, and you also worked with Bank of America and Merrill Lynch, right?
Yes.
Now you mentioned that you know, we all have this Hollywood vision of what it's like to be a trader. What was it like for you? What was it like in real life?
In real life, very different. So I'll just give you like the quick snapshot first. I would be at my desk at 6:30 in the morning. My head trader would be at the desk usually a few minutes before me. So maybe 6:20 in the morning. That means I catch the 5:02 train from home. And it is very intense in the sense that you are crunching a lot of numbers very quickly. So you have to be good with numbers. Yes, it is noisy and you see a lot of shouting and phone banging, but that's natural because it's money. Just imagine, right? I mean, if you're dealing with millions of dollars and you're responsible for it, people do have emotions that run high. So that is actually natural. And that's why I say that women are actually much better at careers like trading because they have such a cool mindset, because they can think through the noise. Somehow men are not really as good as people think they are compared to women. And the other thing was it's fast paced, but it's also very meritocratic. Like you get judged based on what you have done, how you have performed. It's not a function of your face time, like how many hours you spend. Did you come before your boss or after? Did you say politically correct things or incorrect? It's very, very meritocratic. If you perform, if you have done the job without errors and you have delivered, even if you are the junior most person, you get what you have been promised. You get promoted, you climb up.
It's really about the results.
It's really about the results. And that is what I liked about it. Because for a lot of people, especially for me, and you know, I'm an immigrant, and I'm a minority in the double sort of way, if you can put it like that. So I'm a woman of color, I'm an immigrant, so I'm certainly not the kind of person one would say, oh, she's a trader, if they look at me. And that is what would happen at a lot of interviews. They'd be quite surprised, like, why is she interviewing as a trader? And so that's why I liked the meritocratic nature of it, because I was being judged in the end based on my performance and not, hey, how she dresses, how she talks, how she walks. It was nothing to do with that. If I can show that I'm fast at math, if I can show that I can deliver, I get rewarded.
Right. So then at what point then did you decide or start having that feeling that you wanted to start your own business, co-found qplum?
So novelty wore off. You love the fast pace, and then you start seeing the cracks in the glass. And you start seeing that while the intent of the industry is very much to service, there are big players who actually take advantage of their position. And it is very top heavy. When I say top heavy, I mean, you know, the senior management has a lot of control and they are keeping so much to themselves and giving rest of us so little. I'll take a simple example, healthcare, research, right? When the community does any breakthrough, goes through any breakthrough in cancer research or any field within healthcare, it benefits everybody. You share that knowledge, you know, you have drug trials and people get better, and that knowledge transmits to the rest of the community.
Right.
In financial services, unfortunately, that's not the case. You pay your fees to your advisor, you pay your fees to your hedge fund manager, and you get nothing back a lot of times.
As a customer, you mean?
As a client, as a customer.
Right.
Whether it's individuals or whether it's big institutions, they all have the same frustration. The interests are not aligned. And for me, after the learning curve, after seeing through the financial crisis, after trading through the financial crisis, I saw these flaws And I was like, this is just so unfair. I have friends who are smart, who have been working at these tech firms, because I'm still friends with a lot of engineers, and they have absolutely no idea what to do with their money. They have done very well because they have worked very hard, and they're just being like conned by many people because they just assume that, oh, these guys don't know, and there is so much jargon that people are like, you know what, I'll just give it to this expert and just trust him, and they're just misusing that trust.
So did you find that in your experience that the investors weren't necessarily always making the best choices or the best suggestions for the clients with what to do with their money, or because they're getting the fees either way?
Exactly. So if the interests are not truly aligned, whether it's your financial advisor, whether it's your hedge fund manager, whoever, is your service provider,
right,
if the interests are not exactly aligned with the client, there's always this conflict that comes up when they'll start selling you something that they're affiliated with and they make money in some other way. Or they'll say, hey, you know what, this is completely free. We all know nothing is free. I mean, even sharing your personal information on Facebook is not free. We all know that now.
Right. So you're paying something. Yeah.
You're paying something. And a lot of people just either close their eyes to it or don't realize what are they paying. And that's what I found to be the biggest problem, that you have to make it clear what is the quality of service you're delivering, what should be the expectations, what you can and cannot deliver to your client, and be transparent with them, which is severely lacking in financial services.
Right. So in what ways did you set up your company, qplum, to be different than other wealth management companies?
So qplum is an AI-driven asset management firm. And I know this sounds very scary to a lot of people the moment I utter the words.
I have so many questions.
AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
The idea is that investing is hard, it's complicated, and it's a very lonely affair. And instead of figuring it out yourself, you can hire someone like qplum to do it for you. So we manage money for people and families. We service more than 550 families. And what we believe is in holistic financial planning and then implementing that plan for you. So
now, what do you tell us what you mean when you say holistic financial planning?
So you will see a lot of advisors in the market, Elaine, that talk about goals-based investing. Hey, you have a goal, you save for it, and you reach that goal. People confuse saving and investing very frequently. Saving is good. Saving is the first step. But what you really need to do is look at your entire picture. I'll just explain that in 2 more minutes because this is incredibly important for us to understand.
Yes.
When I say the word holistic, I mean, see, you have goals, you have priorities, and you have it all figured out. But you know what? Events happen. Somebody might get sick. You need money immediately. You were planning to buy this car, go for this vacation, but you know what? You just lost the job that you were in for the last 10 years. And now you need to first go find a job and make sure that you don't miss out on your mortgage payments. So events happen. And that's why you need a holistic picture. If you just go to an advisor and say, hey, you know what? I want to open an account to save for a vacation, and he'll happily offer it to you for free, that doesn't do anything for you because you've not planned your life's big picture. And that's what we do at qplum. We have an incremental onboarding process through which we develop the trust with our client. Trust is very important. And then we slowly guide them. How can they be at a comfortable point in 10 years, 15 years in future, so that the quality of lifestyle that they have is not compromised as a whole, no matter what event comes across.
And you do that by helping them choose which investments are best for them based on their experience. So my plan would be individual for me. Someone else's would be individual for them, along with their goals, of course. But like you said, looking holistically about what kind of things could possibly come up. I see.
Exactly. So we do the implementation, we execute it, but we do ask for clients to share some information, which is, sometimes could be a little bit more than the easy breezy process that many other wealth managers have.
Mm-hmm.
And then we deliver a holistic plan, and then we execute it for them. And that's where the whole AI and the technology piece comes in, because to be able to do this flawlessly, and for a lot of clients, we need the help that technology provides.
Right. So now how does the AI and machine learning play a role in qplum?
So as I said, the way you think about it is, and I always tell my clients this, you just think about you're hiring one of the best quant teams in the industry to do the heavy lifting for you. So it might be all AI-powered investments, but it's all human-powered support. And what the AI and the machine learning is doing is finding the right opportunities, investing your money the right way, making sure that your capital is preserved during downturns, because markets do go down as well. They just don't keep going up the way they have been. And that's where the whole technology piece comes in, to determine what are the right opportunities, how to crunch all this data. There's a lot of financial data out there. Even professional traders are having trouble doing all this manually. Many hedge funds are shutting down because they were based on more fundamental manual analysis of stock picking. Even they are shutting down. This new wave of technology-driven investing is coming just because there is more data than any of us can manually go through. And that's what individuals should do. Hand over that part to the technology team while having good communication with your advisor, being transparent. And technology also helps you with being transparent.
Right. Because technology just goes based on the numbers. Or based on the information, the data.
Yeah, as I said, very meritocratic, right? It will not have a bias. It will not have any incentive.
No feelings. Right.
Right. No incentive to sell you something else.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good, Mansi. So is qplum one of the first companies that, this is the first I've heard of, but that doesn't mean anything. Is it one of the first investment or wealth management companies that really uses AI in its planning for clients?
There are many companies that are trying to do this. I'm not very familiar with how accessible these are. So big firms, big banks are exploring this for their high net worth, ultra high net worth clients. But I don't know of many firms that are actually trying to approach, the mass market with this kind of an offering.
Especially, I would think, founded by women or co-founded by women. Yeah. We're all about that around here, Yeah,
I mean, in the last 15 years, I didn't give it much thought until I started qplum, actually, but it's true. In the last 15 years, I didn't meet many women on the trading floor, unfortunately.
So how long have you had qplum now?
qplum started in 2015. So
2015, and you have 550 families already that you're working with.
Yes.
Excellent. I think, 5 million under management so far?
Yeah, so we managed roughly about 55 million.
55. Oh, I got that way wrong. Excellent. Very good. So I watched an interview with you. I want to say CNBC. I'm not sure, but just in doing research, and it was such an interesting conversation. Just to get back to AI for a second.
Sure.
Such an interesting conversation. I thought you handled it so well, just as a media person watching. But the questions were just, the interview was it seemed they were very much, I don't know if they felt this, but taking the position of AI is going to replace real people as investors. The gentleman made a remark like, "Oh, I'm glad I'm 53, so this won't." But it was that kind of conversation. It didn't seem malicious in any way, but clearly they were taking that stand to talk to you about it. So I'm interested in hearing from you. Just why do people in your industry and even in other industries, I hear people just talking about AI taking over the world and killing all the humans. But why do you think so many of us misunderstand AI, or what do we misunderstand about AI and machine learning?
It's scary. It definitely is. And the good thing, I guess, is there is excitement along it being scary. There's a huge willingness to learn. The part about it taking over jobs, I think, is definitely more futuristic than what people kind of talk about. It's nowhere close to taking away jobs. The part that is getting closer is need of new skill set. So there is definitely a mismatch of what skill sets are needed in the job industry versus what skill sets are there. And I see universities and other institutions making an effort to bridge that gap, but it is still far from getting closed. So anybody who's graduating or thinking of a career choice, right, they should think of not what is in front of them, like what you said, the shiny apple, but what will the world be 10 years from now? The part that is misunderstood about AI is that it's a black box and we have given the keys to the machine, and now the machine is going to make all these decisions and we are going to be left in dark. This is the first most common myth. Obviously, it's not a black box. There is a huge amount of oversight. Lots of engineers, even at qplum here, we have 36 people, out of which I would say 10 people are primarily doing monitoring, analysis of what the decisions were, post-trade analysis, pre-trade analysis. During the trading, they're looking at what's going on. So I think of it more like a glass box than a black box, where you see the workings of it, and you don't need to understand exactly how every lever and pulley got, pulled, but you kind of get a sense of what is it doing. It's like your iPhone. You don't know what's inside the iPhone,
right?
But you know how it works. It's like your car. It's a very complicated piece of machinery, and yet we all trust our cars when we commute to work every day.
Mm-hmm. Never thought of it that way, especially the iPhone part. Well, cars too, because so much of it is electric and computerized now. Yeah. But definitely your phone, like you said, we don't know how that works, but we know we can do all these incredible things with this one little device.
Yeah. And it is because you can trust it. Because, if I do this, I get this response back. And if we can make it predictable, reliable, a piece of machinery, then it would be the same with investing.
Now, you mentioned you have 36 people on your team at
Yes.
qplum. So is a large portion of that developers or engineers, or is it split with investors and engineers?
Majority of it
make up like?
Yeah, majority of it is actually quants, data scientists, and engineers. So within engineering also you have these specific roles. Like some engineers, we are a cloud native firm. So there are 2-3 engineers whose job is just to manage our cloud infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are some engineers who work directly on the portfolio management piece. There are a few who work on the product side, which means they work on our financial assessment, preliminary planning, how to distribute information to clients, how to make that interaction as easy as possible. So it's a lot of roles, but it's definitely more skewed towards engineering and data science.
So you mentioned people who were thinking about, or who are in maybe college now, or even if someone's trying to pivot their career, for the women who are listening, to think about skills that will be needed in 10 years. So would you say that people should keep AI, machine learning, those kinds of things in mind for most industries, and how those could affect most industries as they're looking at just their education and skill building in general?
Absolutely. And there's no point fighting the winds.
Mm-hmm.
You're better off, being the first one at it. And in this case, there is just incredible amounts of material out there for people to learn. And as I said, like what I'm seeing is there is a huge gap. So anybody who can make any headway in learning would not have any problems, not just finding a job today, but also having a job 10 years, 15 years from now, because that's what people are worried about.
Right.
That these jobs will get wiped out, being replaced. And if you are learning the skills that will be needed in 10, 15 years' time, you won't have anything to worry about.
And I think it's important for all the women listening, because we have some women listening who are in college, hello, but also many are women entrepreneurs in the early stage of their business, or women who have had long careers and they're reinventing. Right. But I think the point that you mentioned there, I want to drive home, is this isn't just if you're in college. Like you mentioned, there's so much information out there. You can learn this at any point, just being aware that it exists, right? Is something you need to do. Absolutely.
Elaine, I'll tell you, in my job and on the trading floor, I have seen trading floor become so much more electronic in the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they show us these images of trading floor whenever you're on CNBC or any of these news channels?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And half of the people are gone.
Right.
People who used to yell and wear those blue shirts on the trading floor and trade stocks, all that is gone. They actually just have way fewer people there. And some of them are more for the media coverage, but really, because it's all being replaced by machines. So even for myself, I have to keep learning, and we make sure that we set aside some time as a team to learn and to educate ourselves, because it's hard to keep up, especially when you're out of college. It's so hard to keep up with the new technologies that are coming.
So what do you think? I know I'm diving deep in the AI space, so I'm so intrigued by it. Just intrigued by the conversation of it too. But what do you think about, I've heard some conversations too, just that in addition to obviously learning AI, machine learning, all those things, and how it will affect us potentially however many years from now, people have also said too, but soft skills will still be as important. So if it's communications or some of the other things that really are human driven, for lack of a better phrase, will still be as important too. And it's funny because I feel like those careers or industries kind of were getting pushed to the side, like service industries and that kind of thing. But now it seems like communication, soft skills, those kind of things are going to be as important. What do you think?
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's why we call our firm, AI-powered investments, human-powered support.
Oh,
In the end, you need that touch. You need that comfort, and it should be real, that there is oversight. When I say, it's not a black box, it is a glass box. You need oversight, you need supervision, and you need somebody to hold your hand and explain it to you that, hey, see, this is what we are doing. This is how it will work, and this is how it will not work. So the soft skills are so important, and especially in educating the community. AI and machine learning are partly scary because the incumbents in the industry who have done very well using this technology haven't taken the time to explain this to the masses. Who has done well? Big banks, big hedge funds. They have made some rich people more rich. But they don't take the time to educate the investor community about it, right? Because they're not incentivized. And that's where the soft skills come in.
And that's one of your, I know is a very big part of your mission too, making sure that, just as you mentioned, I imagine some people might feel left behind because the big banks and high net worth individuals know about this. The masses don't necessarily. But I know one of your things that's important to you is educating women and people of color about investing in general and making sure they have access to this kind of information.
It is personal for me. It is a little personal for me here. My mom, she gave up med school to be a homemaker, and it was a choice she made on her own, and she has no regrets. She still is in love with the choices she made back then. And what I saw, Elaine, was that, unless you have that financial independence, you might get love from the family, from your social circle, but you don't get the respect. And she just made sure that my sister and I are financially independent, and she made sure that we never make that compromise. And I think the only way for women is through investing to get that financial independence. You have to be in control of your household finances. You have to be at least in the know-how, if not in control. And for that, you need to be educated, right? Not everybody has done a finance 101 course in college. Some people are artists, some people are writers, some people are very good at other things. Everybody's good at something, not the same thing. And that's why it's lonely and it's brutal out there. And your financial independence is the only way for you to get the respect you deserve.
So what advice would you say that advice that you can provide? Obviously, I know there's some compliance things, but in general, what would you advise that women should be making sure they're looking into as far as their financial wellness overall? As you said, to set themselves up to be independent, making sure they're taken care of, not making any stock suggestions or anything like that, but just what kind of things if you were advising a friend, what would you say? This is what you should be making sure is taken care of.
Yeah, I would say the first thing is save before you spend. So save first, spend later. A lot of people do it the other way around. They're like, oh, I know my expenses, and now whatever the balance is, I'll save. They do it the other way around. Save first and spend later. Second, discuss it with your spouse. Don't be shy about it. This is not a topic you need to be shy about. Sit down over a cup of coffee or whatever on a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, go over the finances. If you don't understand something, just ask outright. Know exactly what accounts are open, how much are you saving as a family for retirement, how much are you saving for kids, are there any other options that you are not using. I see so many women who don't use their 401k properly just because they just never thought of it. They're busy working. I mean, yes, you need to work, I get it, but then you need to make these smart decisions. And if you don't have the time, a service provider could help you, right? Your financial advisor could help you. Save before you spend. Talk to your spouse so that you're managing finances as a family and not alone. And then make those choices about retirement, health, children's education. Health versus retirement, this is something I talk to so many of my clients about, Elaine. A lot of people save for retirement, but don't even think of health. And you can negotiate a house purchase or even tuition, but you cannot negotiate on your health. And you need money suddenly, and a lot of it.
especially as people are living longer.
Yes, yes. And we go for a run and we try to pursue healthy habits. We don't do the math mentally that, oh, this will increase my lifespan by this much. Why do we do it? Because it makes us feel good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It energizes us. It makes our day better. Investing should be the same way. You should do it regularly, and you should do it in a way that it's transparent so you can see that where are you going.
Right. So what would you say is your vision for qplum, say, in the next 5 years? Since we said things change so fast, I was going to say 10. But the next 5 years, what is your vision, either for the company or how you'd like it to impact your clients and these groups that we mentioned that you're very passionate about reaching, women and people of color especially?
I mean, for us, qplum is a way to touch as many lives as possible. And I still have one-to-one conversations with many of my clients, and it just warms my heart when I see messages like, you empowered me. You actually made me stronger because now I feel more confident in other aspects of my life. And I feel like if we can accomplish that for more and more people, be it women of color, be it women who are not feeling strong, independent, and they don't realize it's because of that lack of financial independence. I mean, I would feel like this is something that is worth spending my years on.
What does your support network look like?
So important. I'm so glad you brought it up. I'm a mom of a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you. So support network is just so important for me. Can't do it alone. Can't do it alone. Need social support, need family support, need mentors, need professional mentors, and need business mentors. So I usually look at it, in 3 ways. Back home, I need a way to be happy, because if I'm not happy, my work will suffer, my family will suffer. Socially, you need a support, and then you need mentors, because for women, networking is so hard. Practically, we don't have the time to go out and hang out for drinks like men do, and to socialize after work, because after work I have to go rush pick up my child from daycare.
Right.
So we have to find innovative ways to network and to create that support system around us. And thankfully, there are so many online tools nowadays that you can use.
Okay, I was going to ask that. So what works for you, for women listening to hear? Just as you said, there's sometimes you can't go to the after work, whatever the function is, or anything in the evening because you have other responsibilities, kids, your parents, just so many things. So using online connections is how is working for you right now. Yeah,
I mean, this is something so practically challenging, and I don't know how this whole networking industry just didn't think of women when they were building the rules of networking. But I usually try to do some breakfast meetings rather than doing after drinks.
Smart.
Like after work drinks or dinner, because there are enough number of people who will agree on like an early morning coffee meeting or early breakfast meeting, as much as they would agree on meeting after work. The other thing I do is I use LinkedIn a lot. If used properly, and I'm not asking you to spam and connect to anybody or everybody, but if you use LinkedIn properly, it could be a very good way to network, keep in touch with your past colleagues. I always say don't burn your bridges, because even when I worked as an intern at UBS, I still go back to the manager I worked with, and he would always spare a few minutes to get on a phone call and give me an advice or find out within his network if he can make introductions. If I need some help, I go back to my manager at Merrill Lynch, Bank of America for the same, and they understand that I'm a mom, busy, and I can do the usual, hey, going to a steakhouse and spending 3 hours there. The other thing that I feel, which is kind of a little bit obvious, is but just ask. Just say that, hey, you know what, I have kids and I have a young child and I can't meet, but I'd be happy to get on a video call with you. And I've done this so many times, Elaine. The moment I suggest like a Skype call or like a video call where they can see my face, it's as good as having
Right.
an in-person meeting.
Just ask is so important. I mean, that's what I try to push just with support in general. The idea some of us don't even ask. And if we ask, or even if someone suggested, oh, no, I'll meet you at that steakhouse instead of accepting the possibility of doing it another way. So I think that's so important. I mean, all the different ways that you're sharing to possibly connect so that it's not just, oh, I can't do it and you miss out. But just, like you said, ask, this is what works for you.
Yeah. And people are nice.
Right.
They would listen to you. They have kids too.
They have kids too, I was going to say. And sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, I've had that before when I first started with just online business in general. Now I'm in the space of, obviously I can talk to people all around the world via Skype
Right.
or Zoom. But in the beginning, I would automatically think, oh, we should get together for whatever call. But then you think about, well, the drive there, that's going to take time. You sit down with the person, and the drive back, that takes time, as opposed to you could hop on a call, hop on a video call. You see the person's face. It can, I mean, of course, getting together with people in person is great, but for the sake of efficiency, there are other ways.
Yep.
Excellent. So what would you say that entrepreneurship has taught you about yourself as a woman?
That's a tough one. That's a very tough one. I think the one thing that I've learned through entrepreneurship, and then also through my career on Wall Street, where I didn't come across as many women as I would have liked to see, is that you can't change who you are, and don't even try. It's one thing to acquire the skills and the domain expertise, but see, I'm an introvert. I like to read. I'm not good at socially networking, and I've learned what is needed for the industry, but then I know I cannot suddenly become another person. So you have to play your strengths. And if my strength is on the technology side, then I will just use my strength to my advantage. And that's what I suggest to other younger, colleagues that I meet and who ask me for advice. That's what I tell my daughter, that you won't be able to change who you are. So find your strengths, play your strengths, find your weaknesses, know that this is your weakness, and just live with it. Just know how to work around it. None of us are perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman, it's so challenging. Let me break it to you if you don't know it already.
Let me break it to you.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. So let's not pretend that we're going to see a world 10 years from now that it's suddenly going to be so easy, so equal pay. It's not. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. And we're going in that direction, maybe.
We are. And if anyone can do it, women can.
Yeah. So just be who you are and just pursue with your strengths. Don't look at the other person and be like, oh, you know what? They are doing it this way. Maybe I should try. I mean, yeah, if it matches your strengths, sure, go ahead. But if it doesn't, just learn more along your strengths.
So in closing, Mansi, if you look over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
It would be my mom. It would be my mom because, I'm getting so emotional on this one. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
She made the choices that she thought were right for her family over hers, and she taught me the same. And that didn't stop her from pursuing her goals. She started her first job at the age of 55, and people are thinking of retirement. My dad was thinking of retirement, and she was thinking of her first job. And she's a teacher, and she teaches 15 to 20 kids in high school. And high school curriculum is tough. She still gets up at 5 a.m, does the trigonometry and algebra and all the math and physics homework because she wants to keep her mind sharp. And now she is touching 70 and she's still teaching.
Wow.
And she's just as excited about her day as if she were a 25-year-old. And it just, whenever I feel like I'm having a tough time, I just look at her schedule and I'm like, you inspire me. Every day you do.
That's beautiful. I love that. I didn't know that part about your mom, that she's still teaching, but it's because she loves it and now she's getting her chance.
Yes. And she said, you know what? I didn't get my chance when I was younger, and that's fine. I have it now.
I have it now. That's right. So that is a powerful lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
Not to grieve past choices. It's just, I have that chance now. I'm still here.
Yep.
Yay,
Use it.
Mom. Excellent. I love it. So now tell us, what are the ways that we can support you? Tell everyone your website. Also, let us know, is qplum only for a certain, do you have to have a certain net worth to be involved with the company or to reach out to you? Give us some of that information.
Absolutely. So our website is www.qplum.co, qplum.co. If you want to email me your questions, you can always reach me at mansi@qplum.co, MANSI @qplum.co. And we do have a minimum on our investment, but that said, the initial consultation is free. You come to the website, you walk away with your preliminary assessment for free. There is no fees for that. There is no fee for getting educated and learning about how to invest. For investing, there is a minimum of $1,000 for retirement accounts and $10,000 for taxable accounts. That said, we are very big on educating and teaching how technology is used to make investing decisions. So if you want to just walk away with a free preliminary assessment and know what things you should and should not do, please visit www.qplum.co.
Excellent. I love that. And thank you for driving that home, that people can go and get the assessment. And the assessment is available on your website, or that's where we make an appointment to have an assessment?
It's available on the website. So
Okay.
People can do that on the website as well. If they want to make an appointment, they can do that as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this conversation. It was so, educational and enlightening for me, but talking about AI, and then I just appreciate that your stance with your business and overall is really about empowering women, people of color, people who are usually marginalized, especially in the investing space, to have an opportunity to learn more about this. So thank you for that.
Thanks for having me, Lynn. I appreciate it.
Now, before you go, what's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
Yeah, as we discussed it, I guess earlier, the only thing I would say is just don't hold off on your investing decisions. If this weekend, it's going to be this weekend. You start discussing how are you investing, where are you investing, and where do you want to be 10 years from now, and you will see the pieces fall in place.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Mansi. To find out more about her and to get that free assessment, make sure you go to supportissexypodcast.com, go to the search icon at the top, and just type in Mansi, MANSI. Her show notes page will pop up with links, resources, the ways to get in touch with her, and again, find out about that assessment from qplum. Go to supportissexypodcast.com and just search Mansi. Thank you again so much for being here. As I always say, I appreciate you, and it wouldn't be the same without you, truly. Now, until we chat again, I want you to always remember that you deserve support, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.